As you are aware, the National House Buyers Association, HBA in short, is a voluntary, non-governmental and not-for-profit organization meant purely by volunteers who dedicate their time, effort and their own money to keep HBA flag flying in the housing industry. These volunteers have career and families of their own, but have unselfishly given their time so that complainants can have their voices heard. There's no hidden agenda. Such are the tenets of a purely voluntary organization such as ours. There is no financial grant from any sources other than the mere sum generated by the association itself, solely for the purpose of sustaining our operation. It was solely for the purpose of striving for the interests of house buyers that HBA came into existence. Our founder members' motivation were aroused by the innumerable complaints reported by aggrieved house buyers who have been shortchanged by the housing developers and the approving authorities. Our association believes that action speaks louder than words. We have established close liaison with the governing ministries and we have participated by invitation in the drafting of several legislation for the betterment of the housing industry. Our successes in this area are due to the strong support and cooperation given by the house buyers themselves, coupled with the acknowledgement of our positive role by the authorities in the alleviation of the woes faced by house buyers. Mindful of our limitation, we certainly do not make promises of any kind, and neither are we like the swan who carol in praise of their own beautiful plumage. But we have to keep our sanity with our volunteer spirit to continue with our passion. Today, I will share with you the lighter side of HBA and yours truly on what I call the follies and foibles in any housing community. It contains bare humor and poses the lighter side of HBA's passionate effort to strive for the interest and betterment of other house buyers. It is our lighter side that keeps us sturdy and potent with the current state of affairs in the arena of housing ills. Hence, catch all adage, our free service for nice people only, meaning do not infuriate the very people who wish to offer free assistance to guide you and your issues. Be polite to our volunteers. In this episode, I would like to enlighten you of our light humor titled The Follies and Foibles in Community Living. Now, a friend told me that reading the National House Buyers Association HBA articles on all things housing is like being immersed in a horror housing series of the brutality honest kind. Words like unscrupulous developer, irresponsible authorities, abandoned projects, perpetual renters, homeless generation strike such terror in their hearts that even the most haunted of ghost story and cannot rival its effect. But I guess HBA tells the truth that housing developers refuses to listen and face as reality, but shun such truth as spreading gloom and doom. A Christian, HBA or myself are usually related to laws, procedures, processes, and thus weighty and perpetual serious in nature. I assured my friend that there was a lighter side to housing, and in this video, I hope to share some of my observations in what I call the follies and foibles in any housing communities. Giving life to the house. As the saying goes, a house is given the breath of life only if the living make it so. A property, be it a house, an apartment, condominium, townhouse, is merely structure consists of cement bricks and beams unless it is inhabited. You may have the most beautiful landscape surrounding or highest building or poshest housing development, but it remains an empty building unless it is coupled by human inhabited and thereby bringing life to the individual property and vibrancy to the surrounding neighborhood as a whole.
Wicca, what's up? Hey, how's it going?
Hey.
Are you our new neighbors? We're your new neighbors!
Yeah.
A vibrant neighborhood in turn encourages growth and increases the value of the property. A good or bad neighborhood can contribute to the success or failure of any housing community. If you were to ask most people whether they wish to live in a good neighborhood or a bad neighborhood, the obvious answer would be, of course, a good one. I would then ask, are you a good neighbor? Because one of the most important attributes to have, should one wish to live in a good neighborhood, is to be a good neighbor yourself. There's a saying that goes something like this: we make our friends, we make our enemies, but God makes our next door neighbor. In the modern days, the more prosaic among us would say getting a good neighbor is like striking lottery. or hitting the jackpot. It is a rare and good fortune to have because we have all experienced for ourselves or heard from someone about neighbors from hell.
Imagine living next to this.
I'm not putting up with it. I don't care. Put it all on the TV. I have you display the whole street if you want to do it.
Lure of the lower floor balcony. An example would be such as those who are living in high-rise property such as apartment and condominium. There is this foibles I call the lure of the lower floor balcony to smokers, pet owners, and litterbugs alike. The balcony below is like an irresistible, large receptacle of endless possibility. To the smokers, the balcony below their unit is like a giant ashtray where they can discard their cigarette butts for decades to come.
There are people that are throwing cigarettes and spitting down on from above, and it's just ridiculous. We can't use our patio because of it.
Wayne Russell is getting vocal and visual, informing his neighbors in any way he can about some disgusting behavior on the part of some of the other residents who throw cigarette butts and even spit onto their ground floor balcony from the floors above. Wayne has even put up a large sign, politely but emphatically asking people to cease and desist.
To the litterbugs, it is the trash can that never needs emptying. And to a pet owner, the balcony below is a self-cleaning toilet since no cleaning is needed. Unlike those good old days of 70 years ago where houses were yards apart, people living in a multi-story property are separated merely by a wall. The small degree of separation means that Newton's law of for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction will happen daily because any inconsiderate action will bring upon yourself, your neighbor, an equal and opposite reaction. So, if you're a smoker who needs to puff in peace at the balcony and love to scut your cigarette butts down the balcony below, you may find one day that flick of the still lighted cigarette may ignite a fire and you may accidentally barbecue your neighbor, yourself, and the whole apartment building in the process.
We had a person smoking on their balcony and they were putting their cigarette butts in a coffee can. They smoked a cigarette about 5 o'clock in the evening, went back out to smoke a second cigarette around 10 p.m. and they could just smell some like plastic burning. And so she called 911 and the fire department got out here before the fire started, but it was just ready to take off. But we had to replace a balcony, the siding, and actually her coffee can burned through the wood of the deck and dropped onto the balcony below.
So instead of finding serenity and peace, there will only be burnt pieces and tragedy that darkens your door from the single action. By all means, if you love a good barbecue, have one at the community hall or poolside. Invite your neighbors to foster closer ties, but do not try to fry your unfortunate neighbor in this undignified manner. Remember, when living in a high-rise building, what goes around does comes around. Renovation blues. This applies to those large waste bins to store construction waste and which usually block part of your neighbor's driveway and half the road. The entire neighborhood may be up in arms and decide to help you fill that waste bin of yours with their spring cleaning junk, including a very well-used whole toilet bowl set. It has happened. Love thy neighbors. Showing consideration for others is like investing in goodwill. The returns may be intangible and sometimes not immediate, but it is there. For example, a neighbor to whom you are on cordial and good terms will probably inform you immediately if your house was on fire or any possible robbery was taking place, as opposed to those living next to a stranger who does not even know you existed. So the intangible upside is your neighbor may be the best security guard you ever had. Your neighbor will also be a secret budding master chef in the making. Can you imagine the culinary delight that awaits you as the nearest tester and sampler of all manner of delicious food? Or maybe you will develop a very strong cast iron stomach. By all means, am I suggesting any further involvement with the neighbor mates? Then be cordial, respectful, and friendly to your neighbors. Now, on a serious note, I'm always reminded by part of a poem by John Donne, who says, "No man is an island entire of itself. Every man is a piece of the continent, a part of the main. If the glut be washed away by the sea, Europe is the last, as well if a promontory were." Ancient though the poem may be, it holds true in the community we live in. We are all part of a neighborhood and community to which we can play our part to grow the community in a positive way or tear it down by selfish action. Now my next talk will be titled Collateral Warranty. Extending protection to purchaser. It is time to consider a new clause in the statutory sale and purchase agreement to allow purchaser to inherit the manufacturers, contractors and suppliers warranties given to housing developers. What say you? See you in the next episode. Cheers.